Day 292 of 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump Administration. I am not a self-help guru. I'm just trying to help myself. Let me get right to the point. 20%. That's right, 20%. And no, that is not the percentage that the price of your groceries have gone up, because it's probably gone up a lot more than that. It is the amount of days that we are through 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. I am proud because I have been here every goddamn day to remind myself, and if you are watching, to remind you that we can do this. We can survive the most corrupt, traitorous, and disrespectful person that we have ever had the occasion to encounter in a position of leadership in our lifetimes. Every day, I receive the comment, "You're not ignoring the Trump administration," from people who do not understand that this is a philosophy. This is not about restricting oneself from being aware of the leader of the Trump administration and the Trump administration and their complete and total disregard for the way of life of their constituents. It is about not allowing the behavior that I've just described to infiltrate our consciousness in a way that robs us of our mindfulness, optimism, and hope. And I, for one, have achieved that goal for the last 292 days, and I hope that you will continue with me. I also hope to continue to receive that comment, which I receive on every platform, because this tells me that the message is clear. And I would like to make the message clear once again here on day 292 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. Turn away from the constant stream of news that informs us every moment of the day about the corrupt behavior of the leader of the Trump administration and the Trump administration. Let me also add, so that the final 80% of this project can be understood through a less biased lens. I am not only talking about mainstream media news sources. Like, they seem like a nice bunch of bros, but I don't listen to those pod save boys either, because they get paid very, very well to talk about the leader of the Trump administration and the Trump administration, and I don't want to hear it. Let's use the regained time applied to our reclaimed mind to be more creative, to enrich the world around us, and to love those in our lives who do not have the kind of resolve that we do. Thank you for considering this information, and please continue to ignore the Trump administration. Day 293 of 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump Administration. I am not a self-help guru. I'm just trying to help myself. TikTok user 5900, which I assume means TikTok user 5899 was taken, says, "It's okay. This is what we did with the last administration." Now, I want to take this moment to do something that is probably going to feel mundane. I am going to criticize TikTok user 5900's grammar. When you say "it's okay," but you forget to use the apostrophe in "it's," then you are actually saying that the leader of the Trump administration, the subject of my video, owns being okay. What you are technically saying with this mistake is that the leader of the Trump administration owns the fact that he is only okay. And having one of his supporters assert that he is merely okay is not going to be acceptable to a narcissistic leader such as the leader of the Trump administration. You used it as a possessive rather than what I believe you were trying to do, which was to say it is okay, referring to my assertion that we are suffering through the leader of the Trump administration. I assume, TikTok user 5900, that you were sarcastically trying to pat me on the head, but instead, your comment suggests that the leader of the Trump administration himself is just okay, and if he is just okay, then I would have to wonder why you have thrown your support behind this person to the level that would cause you to leave not one, but 2 comments on this video. I am concerned, TikTok user 5900, about what you are doing with your time, because while you criticize me for making this series, something that requires thought, planning, execution, and creativity, and the use of several brain cells, You, as merely a commenter, only submit yourself to my will by getting triggered and reacting to it in a way that uses up valuable time in your life, which I now own. Now, you might say, but Josh, you are doing the same by responding to my comment now. Well, TikTok user 5900, I need the content. I do this every day after all, and I am also doing a service by doing this for the followers of the leader of the Trump administration, like yourself, who do not seem to possess the intelligence to use proper grammar. And even worse, if they do have the intelligence to use proper grammar, then they do not have the intelligence to proofread. That is the end of today's education. Please continue to ignore the Trump administration. Day 294 of 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump Administration. I am not a self-help guru. I'm just trying to help myself. We are bound together by a need for authenticity. We all want it. We all want to be authentic and to have the people we interact with to be authentic. The leader of the Trump administration is perceived as authentic by his followers because he is authentic to his character, even though to more than 50% of the voters, his character is that of an effing a-hole. Remember, the leader of the Trump administration grew up and lived an entire life as a lying piece of crap, and so we can count on him to be that. It's like if Macaulay Culkin played bitchy bitch instead of Richie Rich. But again, authenticity. At least we know that when we are listening to him, we are listening to a lying piece of crap. We don't have to wonder. He is saying and doing exactly what he believes in at any given moment. The next leader that comes along when the culture makes an incremental shift that inevitably swings power to the left again will be good for the culture. It will be good to get to some semblance of a governing center that we can all agree on or at least tolerate. When that leader comes along, that leader might not be a Democrat or a Republican. That leader may say, I'm an independent because I am tired of the only labels we motherfucking got. That person is going to be someone who shrugs their shoulders when it comes to the leader of the Trump administration and says, we thank him for his service as president. And they're going to leave it at that. The Department of Justice will investigate and prosecute, but I have a feeling that the tone from leadership will be along the lines of, we went through a moment in history and it's history because we're not in that moment anymore. We're in this moment right now. This is an authentic metaphorical shoulder shrug that will piss off some who take sides, but will also preserve the respect of the portion of the nation who is currently actually shrugging its shoulders as we continue to ignore the Trump administration. Day 295 of 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump administration. I am not a self-help guru. I am just trying to help myself. I don't say what I'm about to say often or even ever. I would like to congratulate the leader of the Trump administration today. It has been revealed that his background support of the LGBTQ community has been grossly underestimated. If you do not know what I'm talking about, an email came to light, please excuse the pun, that detailed a potential intimacy involving a portion of the face of the leader of the Trump administration and a non-face portion of the anatomy of the former leader of the Clinton administration. This is a revelation that none of us were expecting, but all of us are reveling in because it shows a side of the leader of the Trump administration that is sensitive, that is loving, and that is interested in his partner's pleasure. I do not believe I have seen this kind of generosity when it comes to the leader of the Trump administration before, even with his latest wife, First Lady of the Trump administration, if you prefer her more beard-like title. I call it like I see it. I come out with it. Please ignore the pun again. In a way that I hope will soften any blow. Damn it. I hope the leader of the Trump administration does not have any hard feelings today. I want to say that I hope Donald Trump, if I may call you Donald, is embracing the fact that the public is aware of and accepting of his orientation. And out of respect for his privacy, I will ignore the Trump administration. Day 296 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. I am not a self-help guru. I'm just trying to help myself. Who do you think of when I ask, do you know who Tony from Brooklyn is? I was making small talk with a right-wing friend of mine about the cold and flu season, and as the conversation began to get less small, it turned to the subject of masks. Then Dr. Anthony Fauci's name was raised, and while you may be able to guess what my friend's opinion was of the man, you might be surprised about how he agreed with me when I introduced the topic I brought up on day 294 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. That topic was authenticity. My friend nodded enthusiastically in agreement when I suggested that if Dr. Fauci had done a quick television appearance every day and said, hey, it's Tony from Brooklyn, professionally known as Dr. Anthony Fauci. Here's what I suggest today as far as how to deal with a virus that I don't understand yet. But since, as a doctor, I have a teeny tiny bit of knowledge beyond yours about it, here's what I think. Remember, even though I'm a doctor, I'm still just Tony from Brooklyn at the end of the day. So I'm suggesting that you do this and don't do that. And if you don't want to do it, don't fucking do it. Cool? I'm out. This has been Tony from Brooklyn, and I'm going to go shoot some hoops at this outdoor court. See you tomorrow. Peace. This idea is about talking to people with the understanding that all of our knowledge is ultimately limited and that personal autonomy in decision making is more likely to result in respecting others' personal independence than not. Now, I did not and do not have any problem with Dr. Fauci or how he approached his role in dealing with the pandemic. But I also know that others did, and I have heard that perspective, some of which sound based on the issues I raised above, and others that sound based on easily dismissed conspiracy theories. I believe in the need for authenticity and transparency, even if we fear the consequences for the population. Because the other side of that coin is continuing to ignore the Trump administration. Day 297 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. I am not a self-help guru. I'm just trying to help myself. Are you concerned about the outlawing of hemp products? Now, I personally know someone who manufactures a THC infused soda, so I know he's not happy about this development. If you are concerned about the potential outlawing of hemp, I say do not be so concerned, because if Americans express outrage, this outrage will keep such a proposal from being enacted. Unfortunately, some politicians preach a message that says they don't want anyone trying to squeeze them into being someone they're not, while spending all day or a couple of hours a day max, considering these are politicians after all, trying to squeeze other people into being something they're not. I think Cheech and Chong worked more hours than the average senator, frankly. I will tell you right now that the cat is already out of the bag, baby. It's been out of the bag for a long, long time. Americans are too used to freedom, and we're not going to tolerate a football coach from Alabama trying to take it away from us. Sorry to single out the infinitely stupid Tommy Tuberville here. He's certainly not the only dummy, but he's got the dumbest name for sure. It is fun to say, though, even more fun than Tommy Chong. If the government wanted Americans to not get used to freedom, the founding fathers would have established a country similar to how North Korea is today, with no connection whatsoever to the outside world. While America has certainly grown up amidst problems that we have yet to atone for, one thing is for sure: the constant reminders about what we need to atone for are just that, constant. Anytime a legislator attempts to wipe the slate clean, a segment of the population makes sure that there ain't no eraser to be found. Just like gay marriage was not overturned, the legalization of hemp products will not be affected either, no matter what the federal government attempts to dictate, because eventually states will realize, hey, this doesn't work for us. Whatever we are protecting by keeping these products illegal is worth less to us than if these products were available. In other words, states will refuse to abide by nonsensical legislation and will do the right thing by ignoring the Trump administration. Day 298 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. I am not a self-help guru. I'm just trying to help myself. Of course, Kamala Harris can take on Putin. Are you fucking kidding me? When I have watched debaters here on this app talking to supporters of the leader of the Trump administration and the Trump administration, and they ask those supporters why they would not vote for Kamala Harris, the reason they give, more often than any other reason, is that she could not handle Vladimir Putin. Now, I am telling you that not only could she handle Vladimir Putin, she could handle Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin is a man that I can guarantee you has never had to deal with a black woman. And when I speak about dealing with a black woman, I am not making some guesstimation, because during my extensive history in the music business, I have had black women deal with me. Through my extensive experience in the music industry, both personally and professionally, I have had the good fortune to learn that black women do not play. I have been on tour with black women. I have done business deals with black women, and I have worked with black women in the recording studio. I have visited their towns, seen their circumstances, and attended their parties. In my experience, black women are generous, giving, loving people until you cross them. I have seen what happens when that happens, and when that happens, they do not play, even when they are teaching someone a lesson that someone has shown them must be taught. They do it with that same generosity I speak of because they are legitimately trying to teach, not to retaliate, not to exact revenge, not to even the score, but to teach because they have already accepted that you are deficient in your education. I leave you with this. Our leadership has yet to effectively deal with Vladimir Putin in its current iteration. We need a leader who can make Putin change course instead of him continuing to ignore the Trump administration.